Today, I want to come back to a subject that I've covered many times before, but something came up that made me think that perhaps it would be a good idea to come back to it. I've been shown a video on YouTube made by dookieshed about Pikachu and whether or not it's the best thing to ever hit Pokémon, or on the opposite side, the spawn of Satan. And I strongly recommend that you watch his video. I'm going to put a link in the movie description. But anyway, short version. He mentions that he played Pokemon back in the day and really liked Pikachu. And then the anime came along and Pikachu suddenly became, this iconic Pokemon that people like for all the wrong reasons. And that understandably rubbed him the wrong way. But upon reflecting on it more, Pikachu, in its quality of mascot of the second best-selling franchise in gaming history, well, it did more harm than good. That's his version of the story. I'm going to go back to that statement in just a moment. But yeah, basically that's his story. Now, before I move on to mine, I just want to point out a polar difference between his story with Pokemon and mine, and it's the fact that, according to him, he played the games before the anime became big. Now, I wonder, when did that happen? Because I checked, trust me, I checked, and the first episode of the anime aired a few weeks before Red and Blue came out in North America. So, back in those days, some of you might not even have been alive back then because it's so long ago, but the anime was this huge deal. It was what really powered Pokemon's popularity, more so than the games. So, to have played the games without any notion of the anime and its reputation, well, the internet wasn't as big back then as it was today. It was still in its, I wouldn't say it was quite the birth of the internet, but it was still in its infancy, so to speak. So maybe that's what happened to him, I don't know. But what I do know is, as far as my story with Pokemon goes, I already knew of the anime well in advance. In fact, back then, it was 1998, 1999. I was 15 at the time. Now, I know this is going to be a huge shocker for all of you, but I was not your typical 15-year-old at all. But still, even in spite of that, I had this knee-jerk reaction that would be expected out of your typical teenager that, well, just look at the anime. Pokemon is for kids. It's for freaking babies. So, why would I get into that? And then, a friend of my brother's got me to play the game, and for some unknown reason, I instantly fell in love with it. So, I guess it taught me to not judge a book by its cover, which naturally is an important life lesson, but it also caused me to grow bitter about Pikachu because I almost missed on this amazing gameplay experience just because of the reputation, the stigma that the anime had as far as I was concerned. So for that reason, and I still hate Pikachu for that reason and a few more, which I'll get to in a moment, but it's the fact that Pikachu is undoubtedly the overmarketed, it's overmarketed. I don't think anyone can argue that. It's freaking everywhere. Even dookieshed admits that it's nearly impossible to find a piece of Pokemon merchandise that doesn't have Pikachu on it. So, in essence, I hate Pikachu being overmarketed, specifically because the fact that it was pushed so hard nearly deprived me of all this fun that I've had with the Pokemon series over the years. So, as a result, yes, that is why I personally harbor a deep grudge towards Pikachu, even though, you know, it might not have been justified considering that I did eventually fall in love with the series, but still, it's... Well, when I think about it, it just frustrates me so much! And, you know, this is not even a bold statement to make, but I'm pretty sure many people were in the same boat as me, or are in the same boat as me, whatever, and either originally had a negative opinion of Pokemon because of Pikachu, or they still do because they haven't been quote-unquote enlightened yet. I hate using this word in this context, but Pokemon is a franchise that, well, you can still see people saying today that Pokemon is a thing for kids only, and that wouldn't even be trolling. Some people genuinely do think that. And why is that, you ask? Because they went for a cutesy Pokemon as a mascot. And, oh right, I guess I should mention this ledge that I was on right now. Apparently, you can see the Shadow Ball TM if you're standing on it, but I don't have any experience to prove or disprove that. I'm just going by the comments I got on the last video. So, yeah, apparently, if you want to see the Shadow Ball TM, that's what you gotta do. But, back to what I was saying just now, if not Pikachu, what could they have used as a mascot? Personally, and this is just my personal opinion, if they went with a Pokemon that looked way cooler than Pikachu did, I think they would have captured the kids market just as well, and they would have had a lot more appeal towards grown-ups as well, because some of them look at Pokemon, they see Pokemon like Pikachu and Clefairy and Marill and stuff like that. They think this is just all about cuteness, which couldn't be further away from the truth. So, what Pokemon could they have used as a mascot? Because I'm just going to put Electros in the lead because it definitely could use the experience. So, yeah, mascot choice. If they wanted to have something that looked much cooler than Pikachu, well, they didn't really have a whole lot of choice back then because this is Gen 1, we're talking about the ratio of really cool-looking Pokemon was a bit on the low side back then, but there were still a few like Rhydon, the first Pokemon ever created! Why didn't they go with Rhydon as the mascot? Suddenly, in this bizarro reality, the tables turn and Rhydon completely obliterates a Pikachu with Earthquake instead of this whole aim for the horn bull crap. But yeah, you also got stuff like Gengar, for instance. You got a few really cool looking Pokemon that probably could have done a better job at appealing to people of all ages. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20, and nowadays adults seem to have an easier time, you know, looking past this whole cutesy thing that Pokemon has going on with its more marketed components. But I still honestly think that a cooler-looking mascot could have made much more of a consensus much more quickly, and as a result, well, yeah, Pikachu did carry the Pokemon franchise all the way to second place, but I honestly think that if they just broadened, you know, the whole appeal of Pokemon with a different choice, then they would have done they might have done it even better. And okay, I'm going to come back here in just a moment. But this section of Reversal Mountain here, there's this little cave in a cave area, which is where Heatran is going to appear in the post-game. There's also a doctor there. Not that we need it right now because Bianca's with us, but I guess he's there for healing, for when you're on your way to Heatran, I suppose. But yeah, when it comes to mascot choice, I think, well, Pikachu, they could have done worse than Pikachu. You know, rumor has it that Clefairy was going to be the mascot. And even I can admit, even with my bias against Pikachu, that Clefairy just wouldn't have done the same job as Pikachu did. I am dead certain of that. Now, there's one more reason why I hate Pikachu being so overmarketed, and it definitely doesn't reach every Pokemon player, but since I like competitive play and all, it definitely does reach me, and it's the fact that there are so many events that they make, and Pikachu makes up a large percentage of these events, and often when it gets new moves, it gets stuff like Sing and Teeter Dance. You know, absolute garbage that a glass cannon like Pikachu doesn't need. Pikachu is the epitome of glass cannon. It's got average speed, it's got no defenses whatsoever, but it's got attack power that rivals the best Ubers. And you go and give it Sing and Teeter Dance? What the fuck? Anyway, this is the room that I was talking about before, where Heatran appears if you come back here in the post-game. You need the Magma Stone, though, for it to appear, which is obtained on the way to the final battle against Colress. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm getting some exposition about Heatran from Bianca, and now that's done, we can head over to this section of Reversal Mountain and continue our journey towards Undella Town. So, as I was saying, Pikachu, Super Glass Cannon, given non-offensive moves, time after time after time, and sometimes these are moves that other Pokemon would kill for. I mean, at this rate, Pikachu is going to get Flare Blitz before Flareon does. Now, I will admit that not all event moves for Pikachu are useless. There's Surf, there's Extreme Speed. It got Extreme Speed last year. And you would imagine that if there's a move that could salvage Pikachu's worth, it would be Extreme Speed. But no, Pikachu still sucks as much as it has always done, even with Extreme Speed. So, basically, there's nothing that can salvage Pikachu if Extreme Speed can't do the job. So just move on. And one last aspect of that I want to cover is the fact that, you know how signature moves usually are. They stay signature moves for like one generation, and then they're passed around like candy. Moves like Horn Leech, Mega Horn. Eventually, just about every Pokemon has it, and it's not much of a signature move anymore. Well, aside from some legendary moves, but that's not the point. The point is that even after all these years of Voltackle being exclusive to the Pikachu line, it is still exclusive to it. Nothing else has access to it. None of the huge amounts of physical electric sweepers that are out there have Voltackle. Luxray doesn't have it, Zebstrika doesn't have it, Electivire doesn't have it, nothing but Pikachu and Raichu have it. Which is kind of ridiculous because this is a move that all those other Pokemon would kill for. Instead they have to make do with Wild Charge and Thunder Punch and even Spark in some cases. That's just sad. And I know it may seem hypocritical of me to criticize that when I personally am not a fan of how signature moves never stay signature moves for long. But if you're going to pass signature moves around like candy, just do it for all of them. And if there's one signature move that needs to be passed around, it's freaking Voltackle! Because outside of that, physical electric is pretty dang weak. So, I guess this concludes my little rant on how much I hate Pikachu and why, because I at least know exactly why I do hate Pikachu. So I'm going to end this video on a note that is no doubt going to bring a smile to many old school players. I'm going to be using Thunderbolt on a Rock type. Remember how it was thought to be impossible all the way back then? I sure do. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next episode.